In class today, we talked about solving two-step equations instead of one-step equations. So I'm going to work out about 5 or 6 of the questions on the homework. If you still have questions, you can come and see me in the morning. I should be here probably about 7:45 or 7:50. If you look at the directions on your own page that you have, it says first, you should add or subtract. Second, you're going to divide to find the missing part on this paper. If you look at the question, it says 4 times a number plus 1 is 13. So last week we said to solve one-step equations, you just work backwards or do the opposite. So I should do the opposite of add 1. The opposite of add 1 is subtract 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 for my answer because I'm going backwards. 13 minus 1 is 12. Then the rest of the question said 4 times a number is 12. That one's pretty easy, so you guys probably know it in your brain. Later, they're going to get a little bit harder, so your last step is to take the number that was multiplying and do the opposite of multiply, which is divide. I'm going to divide 12 by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so the final answer for number 1 should be 3. On this slide, I've got 2 questions, number 3 and number 4. So I'm going to do number 3 first. You might notice that this question has been written backwards. They started with the answer and then equals the problem. So I'm going to box the problem so I can focus on that. This question says 5 times a number plus 7 is negative 3. So again, I'm going to start with the plus or minus and I'm going to work backwards. Instead of plus 7, the opposite of that is minus 7. So this is the part where you need to be really careful and don't just let your brain say, I'm subtracting 7 and 3. If you notice, the first number is already negative 3. And if I want to subtract 7 from negative 3, that's going to make it more negative. You could also think about this as sign wars. 3 negative signs, 7 negative signs. All together, that's going to be negative 10. So I'm going to say negative 10 equals 5 times a number. Your last step is always going to be divide. The opposite of 5 times a number is going to be division. So I have negative 10 divided by 5. So if you just think about the numbers, 10 divided by 5, that's 2. Then we had a trick of knowing if the answer was positive or negative. We called this the Mac Daddy face. So the way I use it is the 10 is negative, so that takes up one of the negative signs. The 5 is positive, that takes up the positive sign. So if I cross those out, the negative 10, the positive 5, the symbol I have left is negative. That means my answer is negative 2. Some people also like to think about it another way. Negative 10 divided by 5. If there's only one negative number in the question, it doesn't get canceled out and it repeats itself in the answer. Later on, we'll have a question where both numbers are negative. They'll cancel each other out, or some people like to say 2 negatives would make a positive. But in this case, question 3, the final answer is going to stay negative 2. Question number 4 says 6 times a number plus 4 is negative 26. So I'm going to focus on the question 6 times a number plus 4. Instead of doing plus 4, I'm working backwards. So the opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. Again, you need to be really careful on this question because it's not 26 minus 4, it's negative 26 minus 4. If I was already at negative 26 and I want to take away 4 more, this is where a lot of people mess up. Negative 30 is the answer. I still have 6 times a number is negative 30. So your last step again is going to be divide. Negative 30 divided by 6. So just think about the numbers by themselves. 30 divided by 6 is 5. If you drew the face, The 30 is negative. The 6 is positive. The symbol I have left is negative, so the answer is -5. Or you can look at the question, -30 and divided by +6. There's only one negative in the problem, so it's going to stay in the answer. The final answer for number 4, -5. Questions 7 and 8 are the next two problems I'm going to help you out with. If you look at number 7, it's been written backwards. So I'm going to focus on what is just the question. The question part says -5 times a number minus 5 equals -5. So instead of subtracting 5, what's the opposite of take away 5? That would be add 5. Again, you have to be very careful right here. This is -5 plus 5. If you were at -5 and you added 5, you would then get 0. So my question now says 0 equals -5 times a number. Anytime 0 is part of the problem, when you're multiplying or dividing, the answer is always 0. 0 is also a neutral number, so it's not negative or positive, it's just 0. Question number 8 is written normally. The problem is first, the answer is at the end. This one says -9 times a number plus 12 is -24. So instead of adding 12, I want to do the opposite of add 12 because I'm working backwards. The opposite of positive or add 12 is -12 or take away 12. This is also a question where a lot of people make a mistake because they think they're just taking away 12 from 24, but if you notice, this 24 is already negative. -24 minus -24 minus 12 is -36. Both of these numbers are negative, so if I'm already in the negatives and I take away more negatives, it gets further and further below 0. The rest of the question says 9r, or 9 times a number, equals -36. Your last step is divide. I'm going to divide the number I was multiplying with, because I'm going backwards, into the answer. So -36 divided by -9. 36 divided by 9 all by itself is just 4. Now I'm going to ask myself, is it positive or negative? So if you drew the face, the 36 was negative, the 9 was negative, so the only thing I have left is positive. You don't have to put the positive sign if you don't want to. You could just put 4. Those people who like to do it the other way, -36, -9. If you have two negatives in the problem, they cancel each other out and become positive. The last question I'm going to help you out with is number 20. Number 19 and 20 are very similar. They have decimals in the problem, so these are the only questions that will have decimals in the answer. If you focus on the question part, it says 9 times a number plus 4.8 is 17.4. So instead of adding 4.8, I need to do the opposite because I'm working backwards. The opposite of add 4.8 is subtract 4.8. If you borrow, you should get 12.6. So the rest of my problem says 9 times a number is 12.6. Last step, instead of multiplying with 9, I'm going to divide with 9. 12.6 divided by 9. You should get 1.4. These numbers are both positive, 9 and 12.6, so it's just a normal question, so your answer just stays 1.4. Hopefully that helped you. I will see you in the morning. If you have questions, come and let me know.